Hi everyone, I'm Jeff Teague with AutoJeff Reviews. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, and today I'm going to give you some car buying advice, some car tips, because that's one of the things I really want to accomplish on AutoJeff Reviews. Not only to tell people stories about people who drive amazing cars, not only review brilliant, one-of-a-kind, unique cars, but I also want to help people buy cars. I've got 15 or 16 years car business experience, and I think I can bring a lot of my knowledge to help you research your cars and buy them, because we want the car buying experience to be happy, easy, and smooth. It should not be difficult. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to give you 4 suggestions, 4 pieces of advice that can help you before you even get out to the dealership, because I think it's important to do the legwork, the groundwork, set a baseline for your expectations before you meet the sales professional, we'll call them, at the car dealership, at their car lot, whether it's new or pre-owned, regardless of the brand, it doesn't matter. I think these are going to help you get started. Now, the first one may seem obvious, and a lot of these are going to be pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to explain more. I got more to say. You can't stop this. We want to research the vehicle. Now, what does that mean exactly? Yeah, of course, it sounds elementary that we want to know what kind of car we want, but there's more to it. And what I mean by that is the average person will do at least 13 hours of research before they come out to the dealership, and most of that is done online now. You can look up different manufacturers, maybe brands that you've gone accustomed to, you've grown loyal to them, or maybe ones that people have recommended to you. Go to their websites. Now, granted, a lot of them are going to be pro-brand. They're not going to say, hey, you're going to love this so-and-so car, but you won't like the engine, it's loud. Or they're not going to say, you won't like our third row, it's too small. But you're going to get mostly the positives and the bullet points and things, but that's a good starting point. So go to the websites, you're going to look up the type of vehicle. Do you want a 2-row smaller SUV? Do you want a 3-row full SUV or maybe a minivan? Are you looking for a sports car, an exotic car, just a regular daily commuter driver? And then you can go with the dollar amount. I'll be talking about that later in the 4th point, but the dollar amount, yeah, you better believe that's important. You don't need to get into necessarily how much you're going to be paying total, how much you're going to be paying per month, but you got to be thinking about that already. So just look up, is this a $20,000 car that you're looking for? Are you looking for a $30,000, a $40,000? Do you have a payment in mind? Not that you need to focus in, be laser sharp on that payment, but just get an idea. YouTube, this is my favorite because that's sort of my expertise with my Toyota Jeff site, with AutoJeff site. I review cars. I tell how to use buttons and controls and dials. Here's where you might want to really focus in. Go to a reviewer that you find, and you could just type in, let's say it's in 2022 Acura MDX. Type that in. And then you can find different reviewers. So find somebody that you grow accustomed to their style, their presentation, and their personality. Because you can't watch somebody that you don't like. So find somebody that fits what you're looking for, who you are. Maybe you can have something in common with them. And then they're going to tell you, they're going to walk around the car, show you the inside, the outside, and they're also going to hopefully go on a test drive. And that's where you really want to find out, what do they like about it? Do they hear road noises? What about ride comfort? How's the suspension? How's the turning? How are the buttons and the controls and the dials? The multimedia system, is it easy to use? So look for those things and think, would I like this? Another place I like to go, especially if you like specifications, magazines like a Car and Driver, Consumer Reports, and a lot of times they'll have the same information online. That's where I get all of my information. And so they'll tell you the specs, they'll tell you the performance, horsepower, torque, 0 to 60 if that's important to you. They'll also tell you about cargo room, leg room, headroom, shoulder room, and then they'll give driving impressions a lot of times. So that might be another source, although I would rather go to somebody who reviews them on an amateur basis, if that makes sense, because they're your everyday Joe and Jane who drives. I don't know if I want to see Car and Driver driving it around because they're going to be driving it at high speeds, but that might be important to you. I want to see the mom and pop who are driving it down the highway and the roads in their local town, just to see, because that's the kind of driving I'm going to do. So again, find somebody to review, to give you pointers and tips and impressions who relates to you. This will give you your impression. And then you don't have to have one specific vehicle when you go out to your lot. You could have 2 or 3 brands. You could have, let's say Toyota. You could say, I want to look at a Camry and a Corolla, maybe a smaller and a midsize. You might want to look at an Acura RDX, MDX. It's all up to you, but at least you've got something you want to look at. Or you might want to go and look at a Honda sedan and a Honda minivan because I don't know what I want. Or maybe you want to look at the Odyssey. Maybe you want to look at the Pilot just to get an impression of how your kids are going to fit. But at least you have it narrowed down and you're not sort of all over the place. Now, if you still don't have anything in mind, you can just go out to a car lot. Some people like to go when there are no salespeople out. Some people like to go when there are salespeople out so they can get their knowledge passed on to them. It's all based on personal preference. The next advice I can give you is about the dealership itself. You may have a small town where you've got one Ford dealer, one Acura dealer, one Honda dealer, one Toyota dealer. That makes things pretty easy. And maybe the next dealership isn't for 60 miles away or 45 miles away. That makes it a little bit more logistically challenging. But what happens if you live in a bigger community, maybe a mid-sized city or the outskirts of a large urban area? You might have four Ford dealerships within 40 miles. You may have 2 Hondas, 3 Kias, 3 Toyotas, 4 Toyotas, 5 Toyotas, that kind of thing. How are you going to know which one to pick? I got my purple pen. Holla. Holla. Anyway, here's what you can do. We're going to narrow down that list, and you can still visit different dealerships. The average person visits 1.2 dealerships in person. That's more than 1. It's less than 2. Probably because they've done research or maybe they have a comfort level. How are we going to narrow it down for you? This is what we're going to do. Go to the dealership websites, and what you're looking for is what is their philosophy, their style, their personality? Are they family owned? Are they a large corporation? One of those things might appeal to you more than another. Would you like to work with a smaller dealer? Would you like to work with more of a corporate dealer? And then what you want to look for is perks. Do you want somebody who offers free shuttle service, lifetime powertrain warranty, oil changes for life, free car washes even? There could be lots of different perks. What's their philosophy on their service times? What's their philosophy on service or maintenance? Those kind of things. Those are all factors that could weigh into your decision, and you can find those on the dealership websites. Yes, of course, they're going to be pro-dealership, but if they've got oil changes for life, they've got oil changes for life. It's a bullet point for them, but it's a factor in buying for you. Maybe the other ones don't have that, or maybe you don't care about the loaner car so much, but you really want the oil changes for life, or the so-and-so. Maybe those are bigger. There's social media. This is interesting because not a lot of dealerships think to invest these days in social media. It's starting to catch on. I'm big into social media, and you might want to look at their YouTube channel. How are they a resource for you? Do they give how-to videos? Do they do reviews? Do they do comparison? Do they show you their service department, their amenities? Do they have a coffee bar that they have there? Do they have a TV? Do they have a nice waiting area? Those are all factors that might play into your decision, because remember, usually who you buy a car from is where you'll service the car from. So will you enjoy sitting in their service department for a couple hours? Those are things that you want to look for. And then look at their Facebook, look at their Instagram, whatever's important to them as far as their platforms. Which one do you follow? And here's what you're looking for. Look for the human element. Do they have nice, friendly people? Are those people nice in a way that's also professional? Do they have knowledge? Will they be a resource to you? You can find that out on social media. Do they value their employees? Do they value their community? Are they active in their community? Are they active with their employees? You can get that reading from their social media. You can see it. Look for the human element, because people like to work with people they like. You might find some clues as to who you like here. And then the reviews. To me, this is sort of like a movie critic versus looking at the Google reviews of people like me and you who have bought cars in the past. Go to Google, and what you're looking for is individual reviews that hit home with you, that resonate inside, and you say, oh my gosh, that dealership was really nice to that person. I would weed out, whether you're looking at Google or DealerRater or Yelp, weed out the ones that look like they're people who have a bone to pick with the dealer. They're just out to, you can tell the people who are always criticizing, who are always on the move as far as pushing out their negative critiques, and just weed those ones out. Take those with a grain of salt, and if it looks like it's a legitimate, reasonable concern, that could be something that concerns you. If it's somebody out with an axe to grind, eliminate that one and go to the next reviews and get an overall feel. What are these people as a whole feeling about this dealership? Whether it's service or how they were approached or the sales department, those are all factors that could weigh into which one you're going to devote your valuable time and energy to. Now, I like Google. You might like Yelp and DealerRater. We're going to talk about that next. So those are suggestions that might help you research, or you can also go with recommendations and referrals. Maybe somebody did business with that dealership 4 years ago or something like that, or 2 years ago when they bought their sedan, and now you're looking for a 3-row SUV or a used Porsche or something like that. Talk to who went there before and see what their experience is. Now remember, when you're looking at what happened 4 years ago, they worked with a specific salesperson. Maybe that experience wasn't so good. There are other people out there in the world that you can work with, right? That doesn't mean you'll have the same experience, but just kind of get a vibe for how the experience was. If that dealership philosophy is to make it nice and easy and painless and smooth, that's great. If they gave you a really, really hard time, that might be something you want to look at, and that might be a negative check marks in the cons section. All right, DealerRater, huh? All right, this may be the most important point, and I think this is the thing that I really want to drive home when I talk about researching before you get to the dealership. You can not only pick the vehicle and the dealership, but the salesperson. And actually, your experience at that dealership, the biggest impact on that is going to be who you work with. They say that penguins mate for life, right? You're going to be mated for the life of your car buying experience with the salesperson that you choose or that is given to you. Okay? Do you want to be mated with a penguin that you enjoy or one that makes it really difficult on you? DealerRater is probably the best resource you can go to. DealerRater.com, and then type in so-and-so dealership, maybe the city, and it'll give you that dealership, and then it's going to show you a list of their salespeople, and they rank them by their ranking or the number of reviews that they have. And these are customers. DealerRater encourages, and hopefully the dealerships do, that you do your review outside of the dealership. So when you're at home or wherever, at work, but not at the dealership, because that gives you time to think about your experience and really review it unbiased. So look at different reviews. Look at salespeople. Who looks nice? Who looks friendly? Who looks like they'd be a resource? Now, read the reviews. Martha said that Carl was so easy to work with. He was genuine. He was sincere. He didn't make it difficult. He knew what we were looking for because he asked important questions to get us on the right vehicle that's perfect for us and our family. Or maybe Jody. It said, Jody was just so nice to work with. The best car buying experience I ever had. Look for several of these type of reviews because these people work hard to make sure that their customers are happy, and it shows in the reviews that their customers give. So go to DealerRater, and just as an experience, you can go to like a simulation. Do it now. Go to DealerRater.com after the video, and then type in the dealership that you worked with last time, and type in the salesperson that you worked with last time. You'll get an idea of who that person is as a human being, because we should not out to be, hey, what would it take to get you in that car today? You look great in that car. Let's sign the paperwork right now. We're going to sign that paperwork right now. We're going to sign that paperwork right now. It should be, hi, thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate you. Tell me about the perfect car for you. And then they would ask questions about making sure, all those questions they ask, they make sure that the customer is on the right trim level of vehicle, the right vehicle itself, the right budget amount. That's their job, is to work with a team as a team concept with you to make it an easy experience that you're going to be 100% happy with and you're going to want to tell your family and friends about. That should be a salesperson's goal. Remember, because salespeople buy cars too, so they need to think about, if you're a salesperson, think about this. Be a human. Just be kind to other people and make it an easy process, because that's how you would want to be treated when you're out looking at vehicles too. You can also go to Google. just like you were looking for dealership information, Google, look for salespeople's name. Oh, I worked with John. He was great. I worked with Lindsay. Fantastic. You know, look for those, and if you see a few of them, you might want to set up an appointment with that particular person. You could just contact the dealership, say, I want to work with John. I saw the reviews on DealerRater. I really like to set up an appointment with him. He seems nice. That kind of thing. And then, of course, you can do referrals, your family and friends. We talked about that with dealership. Well, you can do it with salespeople. Hey, who'd you work with when you went over there? I'm thinking of looking at Hondas. Who did you work with? I'm thinking of going for a Nissan. Can you give me a referral? I know you bought a car there 2 years ago. Who should I work with? That might give you another tool in your tool belt. By the way, thanks for subscribing. If you haven't already, just click subscribe. I want you to be part of my car community here. We're going to have a lot of fun and we're going to learn a lot. Budget. Why is this important? Because if you're looking at a $50,000 car that you just fell in love with already, but you can only afford, and you know your budget is really $400 a month, or you don't want to go above $35,000, why are you looking at a $50,000 car except to dream about it? That's not realistic based on the budget that you have. And I'm not trying to give you tough love here, but remember, you've got to be realistic with what you can afford. And I'm not saying that to be looking down on anybody like, oh, you can't afford that. I'm just saying you know your budget better than anybody. You know what your family can withstand in the budget on a vehicle, okay? Just let that sink in a little bit. Look for the right dollar amount, and several factors go into this. Now, payment. This is one thing where I'm sure I'll get some comments because people say, never ever talk about payment. I never talk about payment. I talk about price. Well, we all have monthly budgets. Remember, yes, you want, let's say, I'm not going to go above $30,000. Well, that's something you want to know before you go to the dealership. I do not want to spend $30,000. I do not want more than a $30,000 loan. I just don't. All right, well, your payment's $900 a month. I can't afford that. I can't pay that. I don't want to pay that. Maybe you can afford it, but you just don't want to pay that much. Similar things, they still have the same weight to them. Okay, so let's say you are looking at a $40,000 car, but you don't want to be above $350 a month. That doesn't work. So you've got to be realistic with your budgeting and what things really cost. Price. Yeah, you can go with dollar amount. I don't want to be above $22,000. I don't want to buy a car more than $15,000. And then you have to also think about your research with your payment. Think about what's the maximum amount that you can pay per month based on your budget. What would you like to have? And what would be fantastic? I'm just going to write fant. Okay, this would be fantastic if I got a car in this range. I would love it. I'd have a new car, and I could afford it. And it would be great. It wouldn't strap me. I'd like to have this. Ideally, I'd love to have this. But if I found the right vehicle, I could go up to this dollar amount. So maybe you can say, I will not go above $425. I'd love to be at $400. But man, if I could get to $350 and still get my car, that would be wowzers, fireworks, right? Now you've got a range. If something changes while you're at the dealership, it would be because you wanted it to change. Maybe you saw a vehicle like you thought, oh my gosh, I want this Civic. But then you saw an Accord. Oh, I really like this. It can be your choice to go up to $525 for the perfect Accord because it's perfect for you. I'm going to go into more detail later, but again, price and payment, they kind of do go hand in hand. Even though one factor might be more important and carry more weight with you, you can go with price. You can go off of price, then you can figure out the interest rate. I'll have future videos on these specific ones. And the term, how long are you going to finance for? Usually a 72-month term, by the way, people don't carry that for the full 72 months. They've usually traded in the meantime. So think about that too. Like, yeah, I could stretch it out a little bit. I don't plan on keeping this car more than 4 years, honestly. I trade every 4 years. So yeah, you use that as a tool that was your choice to extend your term. You know you're going to trade it in. You know you're going to sell it after 4 years. So the length doesn't matter as much to you. It might matter. You don't want to go above 60 months. You don't want to go any higher than 2.9% interest or 0%. I'm stuck on that. That's your choice. Come in with those tools. Be realistic about what can actually occur, and I think that'll help you guys. So leave your comments with what I said. Again, this is all based on your preferences, your needs, your wants. The dealership can work with you on these, but you gotta have this in mind because you gotta match the car or the truck or the SUV with the budget. They've gotta match, otherwise you're not gonna be as happy. So I hope this helps. Everyone, thanks so much for watching, and especially thanks for subscribing. I really appreciate you all for joining AutoJeff Reviews. If this was helpful, feel free to give it a like if you want to. You can hit the notification bell, you can hit the subscribe button, whatever you want to do. It's your choice. I won't hate you either way, but I'll like you more if you do those. Anyway, what questions do you have about the car buying process? What experience did you run into in a previous experience? Maybe you're getting ready to buy a car and researching what points did I talk about that you really liked, what do you disagree with, and also what questions do you have that might help you the next time you buy a vehicle. That could be the subject of a future AutoJeff Reviews video. Thanks everybody so much. You can follow me on Instagram at AutoJeff Reviews. You can go to autojeff.com and leave me a question. Yeah, there's a lot you can do. Anyway, thanks everyone so much. Peace out. Much love. Bye.